Awesome. Okay, well, I wanted to first just thank everybody for coming. It's not every day that people hop on a call on their weekend to try to work on their knee health when, we've got other answers out there. We've got cortisone shots. You can go take a pill, you can go to the doctor and get prescribed something, but you chose to come here, which says a lot about you, and I really appreciate it. And I did see that we've got people in all kinds of time zones. We've got people on the West Coast, we got people on Central Time, and then we've got people on Eastern Time, which I am too. I'm located here in Greenville, South Carolina. I actually just moved here from Tampa, Florida. And I owned a gym in Tampa for 8 years called Tampa Movement Lab, where we worked with people with all kinds of joint health issues all the time. So if you kind of saw some of the things that I said ahead of time, I talked about how I worked closely with chiropractors and physical therapists. And once somebody was cleared from that treatment, they would refer them to me, and then we would kind of do what we call bridge the gap. So they go from doing their therapy treatment and they're ready to go into activity, but they're still having some pain when they're doing things like tennis or golf or whatever activities they like. So they were ready to be cleared to go out and do, the normal walk around, sit down, drive their car, but maybe they weren't fully prepared and fully healed from whatever injury or chronic pain they had to do these other activities like exercise. So that's where I come in. I like to say I bridge that gap. And today's topic is all about knee health and knee pain. And as I read through all of your all's answers to the questions, I see people are dealing with things like arthritis. Some of you have had multiple knee surgeries, ACL tears, meniscus. Some of you guys think you might have a meniscal tear now. I just want to be clear that all of this that we're going to do today is to help you to reduce pain going forward, and it's really going to be working on other joints besides the knee that really help support the knee. And I'm not only going to show you how to do those things, but I'm going to talk about why. So this is more a preventative and rehabilitative exercise homework that you can do at home, but it's certainly not advice from a doctor. I'm not a doctor. I am an exercise science professional. I'm a personal trainer, post-gym owner, and nothing to do with healthcare, okay? There are probably some people on the call that are, so maybe you have some questions in that realm, maybe you can still ask them, maybe we can get those in the chat. But as far as anything to do with exercise, that's where I come in. Okay, so I am going to share my screen just here at the beginning because it will help me to kind of articulate a little bit of what we're going to talk about as far as the discussion portion. So I did make a little fun slide for you guys. And as you can see, this first slide just says what we're doing today. So we're trying to reduce our knee pain with exercises at home, and it gives you a little bit about my credentials. I am a movement coach, and I also own a company called MNC Collective. We have myself as a movement coach and Coach Colleen Vaughn, who is on the call today. So in the gallery, if Colleen, you want to just wave and say hi, she's here too. She is a nutrition coach, and she is also an occupational therapist. So between the two of us, we kind of cover everything from fitness, movement health, nutrition, and overall habits. Okay, so this slide is a little small, so you may have to depend a little bit more on my voice here. What we're talking about on this slide is just our common signs that your knee pain is preventative. There's a lot of things that you can do to improve upon your knee pain if you have any of these things. Some things you might be able to visually see that you have problems with, and some of these other things you might not know if you lack, but we'll talk about it, and you might even experience some of it as we do the activity portion. For example, if you have bunions on your feet, so just that bony protrusion on your big toe, that is a sign that you may have some extra stress going to your knee because you have some extra stress going to your feet. Okay, I'm going to talk about why in a little bit. So for now, I'm just going to name these off. Another common sign is that you have pronated feet, which just means you have very flat feet and your feet turn outward. So the funny way to say that is duck feet. So your feet turn out, and so you typically roll your weight on the inner part of your feet. And then that turns into the third one, which is kind of a valgus collapse of the knees. So for visual, can you see me, Patricia? You can nod if you can.
Yeah, I can see you're small, but I can see you.
Okay. All right. So if I have these issues,
No,
my
no,
feet
I
turn
can.
out, then
Now I
commonly my knees will cave in. So you may have both, or you may have one or the other. And both of those are signs that we can definitely do some things to help with your knee pain. A lack of foot strength. One good test to know if you have a lack of foot strength is actually the dexterity of your toes. So if you don't have the
I can't
ability,
see you anymore.
we can't see you anymore, Michelle.
oh, you can't see me at all?
We just see your logo.
Yeah.
Oh, shoot. I guess when I
Oh.
share my screen, that happens. Maybe I won't share my screen.
Yeah, we want to see you. You can tell us the facts.
It's more fun that way.
More fun that
Okay.
way.
Okay, so as I was saying, your feet might turn out and your knees might cave in, and both of those are signs that you definitely have some things that we can help you with right at home with exercise. You may have a lack of foot strength, which is what I was just going over. One way to tell if you're lacking foot strength, if you want to do it right now in your chair, is just trying to move your toes and dissociate your toes. Like, can you lift the four toes by themselves and keep the big toe down? Can you lift the big toe and keep the four toes down? So if you have the ability to do that, that's a very good sign. And if you don't have the ability to dissociate, then that's a sign that your feet are starting to get a little bit weaker. Another thing is lack of ankle mobility. So of course, with our ankles, we want to be able to go in a full circle. And if you're lacking what we call dorsiflexion going this way, or plantar flexion going this way, that lack of movement is going to stress out the knee, because the knee will compensate for the foot. And then on the hip side, if you're lacking hip mobility or hip strength, then again, the stress will go to the knee. This is what we call the joint by joint approach, so it's kind of fun. If I look at a joint, let's say the knee, for the sake of the theme of today's practice, then commonly if the stress and pain is right here at the knees, then there's some kind of compensation and compromise happening at the joint above or below. Okay, so that's where that comes into play. So if you know that you're lacking movement and strength of your feet or your hips, then your stress is going to go right there to the knees. Whether or not you have arthritis or you've had a knee surgery, or if you just have normal wear and tear, all of those things still apply. Okay. Okay, so this is the fun part. So this is where I'm going to kind of dive a little bit more into this, into what I kind of just talked about. So this is my exercise cheat sheet to improve knee health. So before we go into the activities that we're going to do today, because we do have a few drills I'm going to give you, there is a cheat sheet that I'd like to share. So number one is being barefoot more often. Okay. So what we find is that many of us have been prescribed or recommended that we wear orthotics. Orthotics are really good because they give you that arch support that you're lacking. But just like if you were going to take a pill for, let's say, a headache, you're going to take Advil because you have a headache. You're numbing that pain response. You're not taking care of the problem. So if the problem was that you were dehydrated and that's what caused the headache, you didn't get to the root of what the problem is. You actually just masked it with the Advil. The same goes for orthotics. So I would certainly not be, don't go telling your doctor that I told you not to wear them. That's not at all what I'm trying to say. But if you do walk around doing low impact movements barefoot, it will start to strengthen the arches of the feet, which, as we know, will help take away stress from your knees. So let's say you wear orthotics for tennis or some of your higher impact activities. I would keep doing that. But then when you're just putzing around the house, or maybe you're doing something, maybe you're outside and you're comfortable being barefoot outside, you could do those lower impact activities without the cushion of the shoes and the orthotics. I would start to integrate that to begin to strengthen the feet. And that's your number one cheat sheet, okay? Or cheat sheet exercise, rather. Okay, number 2 is balance exercises. So balance is amazing because when you stand on one foot or even do something similar, like maybe you stand on what I call the tightrope. So you do one foot in front of the other and make it hard for you to stabilize. Or you do the harder one where you're standing on one foot, even if you're holding onto something in the room. Balancing will start to strengthen your foot automatically. It'll also start to activate the muscles around your knee and around your hip. And those smaller muscles are generally the ones that we don't get enough work on. So doing balance exercises is my number 2 cheat for knee health. Number 3, one of my favorites, is walking backwards. So there's this really cool guy on social media. His name is Knees Over Toes Guy. So if you ever wanted to dive into this a lot more, you can follow him. But about 5 decades ago, there was a study that came out in medicine that said we should never allow our knees to go over our toes, okay? We should always keep our knees behind our toes when we're doing things like squatting or any other activity. Well, what that does is it takes away all adaptation of the muscles around your knee, and so they become weak. And an easy way to start integrating this knees over toes approach to start regaining and restoring the strength around your knees is just backwards walking. So it's the easiest way to start doing knees over toes. So literally walking backwards, just like I am right now. I'm not going to go very far before I get out of my screen. Or going uphill on an incline, walking backwards to kick up the intensity even more. So walking backwards to, again, bring some stress to the knees, just like you bring stress to your muscles when you do exercise. I wouldn't get a stronger bicep and a bigger bicep if I didn't stress that muscle out by doing something like a bicep curl. The same thing goes for the muscles around the knees. You do have to stress them and put them under a position of stress in order to get that adaptation of strength. So knees over toes is a good thing. In fact, in Asia, you'll see people sitting in a deep squat as a way to rest. And for us in America, this seems crazy. In fact, in a lot of cases, we're told never to get this low in a squat. But if we form that adaptation over time, we create a resilience and a strength to that position. And so then we, in turn, our joints are able to do that safely. So it actually creates more health in your joints to put them through that end range of motion and slowly integrate the strength concept. So if right now you can only get this low in a squat without pain, this is as low as you go. Maybe over time you can start assisting yourself by holding on to something in front of you to get lower. Maybe you can even use the wall to get lower. And then maybe someday you can get all the way down into the position of a squat without pain. And that's when you know that you have developed that adaptation in the joints to not only have full range of motion, but also strength. Back to the point, backwards walking is your cheat sheet. That'll be the first step to get to that point, okay? And then the last one is just moving with as much variety as you possibly can, but always adhering to the pain signal. So if I move as much in as many different positions as possible, I'm creating a healthy balance in my body. What I'm trying to say here is those of us that do the same movement patterns over and over, maybe you sit a lot, so then that's your main movement pattern. Or maybe it's that you run, and so you're consistently doing the running movement pattern. Well, you're lacking all of this other variety of motion. And just like our bodies need different nutrients, vitamins, minerals, macronutrients, our body and joints also need a variety of movement. Okay, so think of it like this. If I have type 2 diabetes and I've developed that over time via my lifestyle, I have eaten a lot of sugar or made diet choices that weren't good for my body. And then my body developed a resistance to insulin. So now I have to actually inject that insulin into my body in order to sustain my health. The same goes for the body in this way. If I do not move my body like this, reaching down to touch my toes, my body will develop a resistance to reaching down and touching my toes. So I might only get about this far before my body sends a signal saying, this is as far as you can go, Michelle, before you're gonna rip your hamstring. So you do have to consistently move through your end range of motion, through your joints in order to sustain that range of motion and keep that healthy balance. Again, a lot like nutrition, variety is key. So I always say, if you're looking for easy variety, go to a yoga class, dance class, maybe even water aerobics, because you're gonna get in all kinds of positions doing those activities. But always adhere to those pain signals. If your body does say this hurts, then it's trying to communicate with you. So don't go that far. Don't push through the pain. One of my least favorite phrases in exercise is no pain, no gain. That was on the wall of my gym when I got it in 2016. Bought it. And first thing I did was painted right over that quote. And I wrote the quote, move well, move often, because we're not trying to train through pain. Pain is a signal, and it's our body telling us that something's wrong and we need to take a step back, right? So let's say your grandchild is like, Grandma, Grandpa, get down into a deep squat with me. Let's play down here. The answer is not no. The answer is, how far can I get before it hurts? Okay. That's where I need to be, because we don't want to have the mindset that we won't go into those positions, but we do want to play around with how far can we go before it hurts, and never go to the point where it's painful. Okay. So again, our cheat sheet here before we go into our home drills is trying to be barefoot more often, so much so that you're developing the arch strength of your foot that maybe you can ditch those orthotics someday. Number 2, balance exercises. Ultimate cheat for strengthening the stabilizing muscles of the feet, knees, and hips. Number 3, walking backwards. And when you get real good, walking backwards up an incline, maybe even on a treadmill. And number 4, moving with variety, but adhering to the pain signals. All right. So we're almost to the point where we're going to do some activities. So I just wanted to make sure that I gave you guys one little differentiation between what we're going to do today, which is mobility, and what you might do in traditional exercise, which is flexibility. So flexibility uses gravity. It is passive and uncontrolled range of motion. So flexibility would be me putting my leg up on something and then me just going into that stretch by rounding my back and using the gravity and weight of my upper body to get there, okay? Versus mobility is active and controlled. So you're gonna do pieces of this, but nothing crazy today, just getting a sample of what it feels like. Mobility looks more like this. How far can I lift my leg with the strength of my hip? Okay, so this is my mobility, and this is my flexibility. So the beautiful part about training your mobility is it's not actually just stretching. It is actually strength training. In fact, the way we're going to do today's practice will cover all of these things. Motor control, joint dissociation, so your ability to dissociate one joint from the other so that instead of you cranking on your low back to turn around, you're able to rotate your neck and your T-spine. Your ability to increase your range of motion and strengthen the joints. So some of that is a little nerdy, and now let's go into the activities so you guys can feel it, okay? Now I did say before when I sent you guys an email, I did tell you guys to bring a ball, like tennis ball, golf ball, could be a softball. Patricia's got her lacrosse ball. Is that a lacrosse ball?
Oh, it's a pinky ball. It's kind of rubbery. I like them. So it's,
Ooh, nice.
huh? Yeah, I love these guys.
So like a real massage ball. So if you guys have something harder, that's okay too. If you got a golf ball, that's perfect. The first thing we're gonna do is use that. Now, I am going to demonstrate it standing up, and then Patricia, are you able to show them how to do it when they're sitting down?
Sure, I got a chair here.
Okay. No matter what you're doing, standing or sitting, it's always good to have support. So if you're standing, you're gonna put that ball underneath your right foot. Let's all do the same foot together. And you're gonna put it right under the middle of your foot here. And then your hand is holding onto a piece of furniture or the wall or a chair. So that way you can put a lot of weight on this ball. Now, what we are doing here is really not the full premise of the mobility that we just talked about, but we are bringing blood flow to our feet. Okay, the feet are the furthest from our heart. It's our main weight-bearing joint. It's got 25% of our individual bones, which means over 100 muscles and tendons. And that is the joint that's supposed to protect our knees. So right now, we're just trying to get circulation to our foot. The more you push on that ball and start rolling on the ball forward and back, the better. I want it to feel like it's a 7 out of 10 intensity, so it kind of feels uncomfortable. All right, if it feels real easy and light, maybe try to push into it a little bit more. How are you feeling, Patricia?
Yeah, good.
Okay, great. You've done this one before, right?
I love this.
So we've been on our right foot for about a minute. Now let's all take the time to switch our feet. I'm just gonna keep my same hand on my chair as I do it. And again, this is all about circulation. It's also a form of self-massage. So it's supposed to be a compressive massage technique, which is why we're pushing on the ball with a good amount of force. Like I said, a 7 out of 10. And if anybody's noticing that one side is worse than the other, that's very common. What about you, Patricia? Does it feel more tender on one side?
Yeah, there's a difference.
Okay. Yeah, my right foot is a little bit worse. So I would recommend doing about 1 to 2 minutes on each side, just as a regular practice. It doesn't matter what time of day you do these things. It could be before exercise or after. It could be in the morning, it could be at night. It could be completely separate from exercise altogether. This is really like your daily vitamin, just like taking a multivitamin. So take it any time of day and it still counts. And this is us trying to bring some blood flow to the feet, which support our knees. Okay, the next drill, number 2 of 7, if you want to participate, is toe dissociation. So I kind of jumped the gun and I started showing you already, but you are simply going to try to move your toes. So seated like Patricia is, or standing like me. Notice I came barefoot because if I didn't, I wouldn't be able to show this drill or prove my point that barefoot is better. So if you don't mind taking off shoes and maybe even socks, it'll be a little easier to see your toes, but you can always keep your socks on and it works the same. As we look down at our feet, the goal is, and I'm going to show you with my hands too, to lift our big toes by themselves and keep the 4 toes down. And then drop the big toe and lift the 4 toes up. The goal will be to alternate to show that control. And this is the very first way you start to strengthen your feet. It seems maybe silly, but maybe some of us are already figuring out that it's not very simple. Patricia, how does that feel for you?
I got a cramp in one of my feet.
So there you go. The muscles are working.
Yeah,
We're even cramping a little bit. Now I am moving my hands to demonstrate because I'm small on my screen, so I can hardly see my feet, but maybe you can see my feet. I'm going to take my hands out of it because one of the things that we find with people is they start moving their hands with their feet. Neurologically, the goal here is to try to isolate just your toes. So see if you can do just a couple more. Big toes go up. Drop the big toe, 4 toes go up. If you absolutely need to use your hands, maybe it's easier seated, but you can actually use your hands to help. I say that until you get the control, right? So if I need to give myself a little cue, a little tactile cue, use my hands to help myself, you can. That's okay. Eventually, you're gonna have that control and be able to get it. I'll let you guys do just a couple more. Just checking the chat. Okay, beautiful. All right, guys, you have done 2 drills so far. You've rolled on your feet, and you've also done some toe dissociation. Things that seem unrelated to your knees, but hopefully I've already proven to you that it's very much not. It's going to help your knees a lot. The third thing we're gonna do today is a calf stretch, essentially, but I'm gonna teach you how to implement the mobility concept. So Patricia, I think for this one, we both can be standing. Hopefully, if you guys are in the mood to stand, do this with us. And if you'd rather watch, of course, that's completely fine. I'm gonna hold on to my chair so I don't get too far out of my screen, but typically I'll have people put their hands on a wall. My left foot is in front and my right leg is behind. And notice front leg is bent and back leg is straight. My toes are turned inward and straight ahead. So for those of us that might have that problem of turning the foot out, I want you to really crank that foot in so that it's aligned with the hip, facing straight ahead. Then I want you to push your hip forward enough to where you feel a stretch in your back calf. So back calf, all between the knee and the ankle. Feeling that, Patricia?
Yeah.
And now that we're there to implement the strength part, it's actually pretty simple. All you're gonna do is push all of your toes down into the floor for 5 seconds. Again, I'm demonstrating with my hands. And then staying in the stretch, lift your toes for 5 seconds. So you can barely tell I'm doing it, but I'm attempting to lift my toes up off the ground. And then I'll repeat, push my toes down for 5 seconds, and then try to lift my toes up for 5 seconds while I'm in the calf stretch. I'm gonna have you guys do this for another minute. It doesn't have to be exactly 5 seconds that you do the push down or lift up, but you always have to be creating tension one way or the other. And what you're doing there is you're sending a signal mainly to your foot and your calf that you're strong in this end range of motion, okay? We wanna be pushing down so hard that we feel our toes really exerting into the floor. And we want to be lifting up so much that we feel the muscle in the front of our shin. This is called our anterior tibialis, starting to get tired, okay? So do just a couple more as you push down, really exert. And as you lift up, try to feel it in the front part of your shin. And after you've done that second rep there, we'll go ahead and switch sides. You've done your first mobility drill, so props to you. Give yourself a pat on the back. Now to make sure, to make sure that we feel it on, or that we get it on both sides, we gotta switch sides. So front knee is bent, back leg is straight. Make sure that back foot is turned in and straight ahead. Don't let it turn out. What you're gonna do is push your toes down and then lift them up. About 5 seconds each way, and we'll be here for a little over a minute. Very commonly, I find that people with knee pain lack the ankle mobility in this particular direction, which is why I have us doing this. We could easily do the opposite stretch where we try to point our toes and go this way. But because I see so often that we're lacking this movement, we're working on this. There's many ankle drills and many ankle and foot mobility drills that we could do, but this is very accessible. It allows us to stand and it doesn't really require any equipment. Let's do one more on this side. 5 seconds down. and 5 seconds up. Perfect. You have now done 3 out of the 7. And again, if you haven't been participating, you can continue to watch. And this is a recording that we're going to send to you after with notes involved too, so you can read it. For those of us that are continuing on, we're going to do ankle CARs, ankle controlled articular rotations in a hamstring stretch, okay? So what that means is, for my knees to have the freedom of movement and lack of stress, I have to be flexible through the back of my legs because they attach to the back of my knee. I have to have mobility on the side of my legs because that attaches to my knee, and also the front. The front is very important because it gets tight when we sit, but guess what? We're going to do hamstrings because it's the most accessible. And it is also very important. And when we sit, hamstrings get very tight as well. So Patricia is going to be seated doing these. So for you, Patricia, it's going to look like this, where you extend your legs straight out and you do your ankle circles this way. For the rest of us that want to try a little bit more intense version, or not intense, but probably moderate, we'll lay on our back. So if you have the ability to get on your back, this is a beautiful, beautiful drill for you to do to improve your knee health. As we lay down, see if you can interlace your hands behind your thigh. And if not, that's okay. You don't have to use your hands. As I intertwine my hands behind my thigh, I'm going to flex my toes to my nose. So first, toes go in towards my shin. And then I'm going to see how far I can extend my legs straight up. Squeezing my thigh and giving that signal of strength through the front of the leg, giving that length to the back, that mobility concept. Give it a break, and we're just going to do a couple more of those, whether you're seated like Patricia or you're laying down like me. Let's prep the hamstring and prep the front of the leg, the quad, to get looser. All right, now we're going to give you guys a double whammy. If you can, straighten the leg all the way out and do a full ankle circle to the right and to the left. And then bend your knee to take a break. You're going to do 6 reps. As your leg is straight, 1 full circle to the right, 1 full circle to the left, and then take a break. On your own, continuing these reps. Now the circles are meant to be very slow. You're really trying to get in every corner of that circle. So it's not fast and flimsy like this. It's me exerting my foot in every part of that circle. Both directions. And I think I just have one more. As I finish my last one, I'm going to squeeze my thigh even harder, see if I can get even more strength through that thigh. And do 1 last rep each way. When you get done, shake your leg out, let it relax, and we'll do the same thing on the other side. Whether you're seated or you're laying down, same thing. Start off by just working on trying to straighten your leg first and kind of prep and prime the muscle. And once you've done about 5, start your first rep. Leg is as straight as it can be. Circle to the right, circle to the left, and then relax in between. You've got 6 reps. There's a lot of drills for the hamstrings, but we like this one because, like I said, we're getting that true mobility concept, but we're also getting the ankle at the same time. The feet are so important to the health of the knees that we just love to integrate it in as many things as we can. Take your time. I have one more to do, so I'm going to go ahead and do it. Patricia, how you doing?
Yeah, I'm doing great. My left ankle is a lot less mobile. I just learned that right now.
Yeah, and mine is my right. I'm with you. And those asymmetries are crucial to figure out. And I would say, guys, if you do have one side that feels worse, do more reps on that one side. Something that I have dealt with a lot over the years with people that especially do activities, they're doing a lot of the same movement patterns over and over. And if they have one side weaker or tighter than the other, this other side compensates over and over and over, creating the potential chronic issue. Okay, so let's say you go on a lot of long walks and you feel it always in your left knee. Well, as you're doing these drills, take a little note. Do you feel tighter in one ankle than you do the other? Well, that could be a huge culprit for what's going on with that left knee, something that's much more simple than we realize. Okay, so I'm giving you guys a strength drill to do that is easy in your chair, and for a lot of us, it's probably going to be just watching. I didn't want to overwhelm us with too many up and down, so this is an easy one to do on your own if you have a rolling chair. And if you don't, you can simply watch this one. But if you remember, I talked about how knees going over toes is very important. So that's what this drill is going to be. Variation number 1, which is the harder one, I always show the harder one first, is I'm going to drive my heel into the floor and pull myself forward until I'm on my toes. And then I'm going to push through my toes until I'm back on my heel and my leg is straight. I'm going to do it with my leg that's closer to the camera. Heel on the floor, pull myself forward onto my toe, and then while I'm on my toe, push myself back until my leg is almost as straight as it can be, or as straight as it can be, and I'm back on my heel. Pull, use the hamstring, push, then you're getting those muscles right above the knee. Pull forward using the hamstring, push, all those muscles that do deceleration above the knee are active. This is a beautiful one to do if you have a rolling chair. I realize not all of us do. And I have to show you that there is a way to do this with weight too. If it becomes easy or it feels real easy, you can do it with a weight. And it acts as if, just like if you're loading any other exercise, it becomes harder because now you're pulling and pushing more weight. So you've seen the 2 harder ones, and the easiest version would be both feet and no weight. So I can easily do that too. Pulling myself forward with my heels and pushing myself back on my toes. This is what we're calling the rolling chair hamstring curl. So when I send you guys this afterwards, you'll see it written that way. Okay? Patricia, you probably don't have a rolling chair, right?
No, but I have an exercise ball. Would that work if I can sit on the exercise ball and?
Absolutely, absolutely. I think your butt might roll a little bit, but the way I see it is all of these are options. You could take 1, 2, or all 7 of them and do them, but one drill goes a long way. So if you do have a rolling chair, do this exercise. It's amazing for your knees, and if you don't, you've got 6 other amazing drills. Okay. I'm going to move on to the next one because I do realize a lot of us don't have the rolling chair, but hopefully when you watch the recording, you'll be able to see it, go back, and if you end up with a rolling chair, you could try that. The next one is a single leg glute bridge. So this is another one that will be for people that can get down onto the floor. What Patricia is going to demonstrate for those of us that can't is just a balance drill, okay? Because that also activates your glutes. For those of us that can get down on the floor, this is an amazing exercise for hip strength. And guess what? The stronger our hips are, the less stress goes to our knees. So we can't neglect the hips. I like doing the version where one leg is actually into my chest. Some of us don't have the accessibility to this, and that's okay. You can simply do a 2-foot drill, or this foot can just be off the ground. But if you can hug your knee into your chest, that allows you to take the low back out of it. So then you're doing a glute bridge and only using your glute and hamstring, not your low back. So I would recommend doing about 10 of these every day, keeping the foot flat of the leg that's on the ground and driving the hip as high as you can to showcase how much of that hip strength you have. If you're only getting this high on the first try, the first time doing these, that's okay. You'll get better as you go. So 10 on your right, 10 on your left, and if we need to do 2 feet, then make sure that you're tucking your pelvis under and then lifting. So to show you as a demo, I actually pull my hips to my ribs and then I squeeze my butt to lift. If I don't, I might end up hyperextended like this, okay? Then I'm using my low back. So tucking the hips under and squeezing my butt to lift. Whichever variation you choose, single leg lift or double leg, it's a perfect exercise to fire your glutes and take stress off of your knees. Now, if that was not accessible to you because laying down is not in the cards today, remember at the beginning I said balance. So balance is going to, again, activate the muscles in the glutes. You can't stand on one leg without those glutes firing. So this is a perfect exercise. I would recommend just 30 seconds on one side, 30 seconds on the other, and you can hold on to something. It's gonna be fine if you need a little assistance. It's kind of like you're doing, yeah, it's like you're doing 90% of the work. How you feeling, Patricia?
Good, yeah, love this stuff.
Great. All right, guys, that's 6 drills and you only have 1 more. Now for this one, it is about hip mobility, which we've only done the hamstring stretch for so far. For this one, we're focusing on hip external and internal rotation. So for those of us that might be people that turn our foot out, which like I said, the funny term for that is duck foot, most likely you have a slightly externally rotated hip, okay? For the rare few of us that are the opposite and our foot goes in and you're supinated or pigeon-toed, then you might be lacking external rotation. This drill does a little bit of both. Patricia is going to show you the seated figure 4 hinge, and I'm going to show you the one on the ground. So if you're able, we're now seated on the floor with our front knee bent at 90 degrees and our back knee bent at 90 degrees. And what we're going to do is put our fingers light on the floor and sit up very, very tall. So for those of us seated in our chair, your fingers are probably on your knee and your foot, but you're sitting up as tall as you can. I want you to now inhale, pack air into your belly. So hold air in your belly and start to drop your chest, not by rounding your back, by seeing how far you can hinge at your hip. And then as you exhale, drive yourself back up. Think of it like you're loading your legs with the weight of your torso. So I'm pulling my belly to my front thigh, and then I'm using the strength of my legs to push my torso back up. You're just gonna do 5, and you're going slow to make sure your trunk stays really stiff and you're not rounding your back. If it ends up being easy, the arms can go in the air. I don't suppose it might be. It's probably challenging if it's the first time you've done it, but there's always ways to make it harder. Good. After you've done 5, go ahead and switch. For those of us on the floor, you can swivel the legs. And for those of us on the chair, just switch the foot that's on the knee, just like Patricia's showing you. Again, fingers light on the floor. Actively driving the knees into the ground. Inhale, pack the belly with air as we hinge. And exhale as we press ourselves back up. Inhale, pull with your hip flexors to fold down. And exhale to push through your front knee to lift your torso back up. think about how this can be strength and mobility if you're following those cues of pushing yourself up, using the strength of your legs to lift your torso. 2 more. And that's our 90-90. You have now done all 7 drills, and we only did a short few reps of each. That way you get a sample of what each one feels like. Again, to go through them, you massaged your foot with a ball. You dissociated your toes and tried to lift your big toe and then your other 4. You got into a calf stretch, and then you pushed down into against the angle of stretch and then lifted up against the angle of stretch. You did a hamstring stretch with ankle circles. You did a single leg chair rolling hamstring curl. You did a glute bridge, and you did what we call a 90-90. Maybe that was a lot for today, but we will again provide the recording for you and also this PowerPoint that I made so you can see it listed out. And you guys can email me or message me any questions that you guys have. Has there been any questions in the chat?
No?
Okay. Maybe we're all feeling like that was simple.
Oh, it was great, I think. And I have knee issues, so this is exactly what I need.
Yes, they go a long way. I mean, there's tons of ways to strengthen our hips and our feet. And now, of course, I've got you guys looking at my phone. Okay, can you see me?
No. Oh, I see a tiny you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's all right, because I want you to be able to see my screen. I just wanted to show you guys, like I said, you got all the best drills for your knees today. But if you were to need anything else from me, you can find me here. I'm going to send everybody, this slide so you know what I do, who I am, and where to find me. Between Colleen and myself, we are the MNC Collective. We do virtual personal training and exercise programming, nutrition coaching. We're starting a 90-day total transformation program coming up on January 26th. So it's a week from today, where people are going through a 90-day program to improve their health, habits, movement, and nutrition. And we also do life coaching. The link that I provided here in the slide takes you to all of our stuff. So videos about us, or us giving you tips and tricks, our website, registration to our programs and all that fun stuff. Okay.
Getting some questions in the chat now.
Okay, great.
Yeah, we get, this feels amazing. Thank you so much for sharing these 7 ones. But someone says Karen says, with regard to pain, if you're doing one of these like the last one and you feel a sharp pain, but it goes away quickly, should you continue, or is that sharp pain the signal to stop?
That's a signal to stop. And thank you so much for saying that, because every exercise has a variation. So what was her name that said that?
Karen?
Karen?
Yeah, she pronounces it Karen.
Karen? Okay, so
I
Karen, what I would do then is, all that probably is, and you can try this and tell me, is too much load on your knee. So dropping down to your elbow and actually taking away some of the weight of your torso and then reaching forward and back. Okay, so I'm taking away from the stress. I can also tuck my feet in. This is called shin box. And then for those of us that don't have great external rotation in our hip, once we tuck this in, the angle changes into a much more accessible angle, and we can then do it here. So I would certainly try it those 2 ways and see if it's better. But yep, anytime you feel that sharp shooting pain, I would just stay away from it altogether.
And then
if I was in the chair, sorry, if I was in the chair doing that and I felt the pain, how would I adapt the chair version?
Yeah, so what I would do is I would actually use the surface. Okay, let me demonstrate with my stool. Pigeon is an amazing stretch, and I would say find a way to do it, and this is usually how it works. I'm gonna put my knee, I'm gonna use two, very teeny tiny benches here. Put my knee on the bench and make sure it's supported. So for example, if I'm like this and my foot is on it, but my knee is popped off, that's a lot of stress. All right, so we're gonna tuck the foot as much as we need to get that knee to rest on the bench, and then try to do those hinges. That's what I would do, and if that still hurts it, then we've got maybe some deeper issues. Were you one of the people that had a meniscus issue?
No, I had a knee replacement 30 years ago and have no cartilage left in my knee apparently. So,
Okay, so you were the
yeah.
bone on bone. I did read
Yeah.
that one. So yeah, I do have a client that's had 2 knee replacements. Now, in his case, he's able to do that position, so it's possible, but there's a lot of things that just bending his knee is just not, he can't. It's not so much of a, it hurts, but it physically won't bend enough. So if that's the case for you, when you try that, then it's just not gonna be a good drill for you. And I would do the other 6, but I would leave that one
Thank
out.
you. Thank you so much.
And then another very similar, Barbara Kay was asking about whether there's another modification, a simpler modification for even the seated figure 4. And I was thinking about the reclined figure 4 where you
Laying down. Yeah, you want to show that one? You might have a better angle.
Well, if you can see me, my small screen here, I just lie on my back and I have one knee bent and I hook the other one over, and then I can just basically push that knee away gently to get a stretch, but as much as my hip wants to do today.
Yeah.
Another, then a progression of that is to pick up and grab the leg and pull in. But even just pressing the knee away can be a good stretch for a lot of people.
Yep. Not to basically just go through that all over again, but in between, if you do have knee pain, using a wall can be really good. So I'm going to put my foot up against the wall, and then I'm going to cross my other leg over that knee. And so then I don't have to use my hands to support it. So this is just another way of exactly what she just showed you.
Nice. All right, we got some new messages. Yeah, Raji says she does that on the floor on her hard bed, and it's helpful. And they're thanking you and looking forward to your email, saying they know they need to add hip strengthening.
Yeah.
But effective movements, yeah. You'll have to save the chat so you can see who said what. So
Yeah. Okay, great. I'll go in and see what you guys are all saying and send you guys this whole recording and PowerPoint. And watching me talk for an hour again would probably be daunting, but you'll have it just in case.
So good. Well, thank you so much, Michelle. I got a lot out of it. I hope everyone else did. And I'm planning another event with Michelle's partner, Colleen, about cutting through nutrition confusion. So that should be a good one too.
Yeah, is that February 12th, I think?
Yeah, we haven't posted it yet, but yeah, I think it's scheduled for Wednesday, February 12th. Yeah.
Simone said thank you. Everyone's saying nice things. Thank you guys so much. You're so sweet.
Annalise says she feels worn out now.
Yeah, I do too. I feel that too.
This was so helpful. Thank you, Michelle.
Thank you. Thanks for coming.
Are lunges good for knees? We have the question popping up.
I'm absolutely. The way I'm going to answer it is going to kind of piggyback off of something I said in the introduction, which is have the mindset that you can do anything before you get the signal of pain, because lunges really are the ultimate strength drill for your hamstrings and quads. And I love lunges because they're single leg. So if you're doing a lunge and you're feeling pain right from the beginning, I would hold on to something. I usually have people hold on to straps like a TRX or hold on to a wall, right? And see if that helps. If it doesn't, it's not the right exercise for you. And then, of course, if it only hurts when you get to a certain depth, then let's just not go as low. I would just go as low as you can without feeling the pain, and make sure that you do have good alignment. Because if you have your front heel popped up, that is a lot of stress on your knee. Eventually, you want to be able to do something like that without pain, right? But make sure that front heel is down and that back hip is tucked. And if that helps it, great. So again, position is important. Using assistance is going to help a lot. And then also making sure that your back heel, or no, I said that. Only going to depth that's pain-free. But lunges are amazing.
Yeah. Oh, I want to jump in and say, if you didn't fill out her form, but you want her follow-up information, please put your email in the chat before you go. And she'll send you the recording and other information that's really useful. Plus the donation information, which is totally optional.
Yes,
I can
optional.
support Michelle's work. Oh, they're coming in. The emails are coming in.
Yay, thank you. Oh, that's a fun one, Sky Dancer. Cool.
And we've got people from all over the place. I know we had one participant who's posted in Tokyo, Japan.
Oh my gosh. Okay, well, they get the award for the furthest traveled for the Zoom call.
Right. And it's 6 a.m. for her now.
Oh my gosh. Thank you so much for coming so early. Starting to slow down a little bit. I suppose we could stop the recording.
Yeah, Susan says I'm an early riser. She's the one in Tokyo.
Must be. Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah,
good. I got my mom's email address. My mom's on the call, by the way.
Hi, Mom. All right, it's going to stop the recording.
Okay.